Hi everybody. I get a lot of questions from people as they're joining our program about what size kettlebell to buy when they're just starting out. So let me talk you through that. If you are really out of shape, or maybe the doctor has told you not to lift anything super heavy, or maybe you're very, very underweight and you're just joining us to try and get healthier and stronger, you might want to start with a smaller kettlebell. The test that you can use, there's two different ways that you can decide where to start. If you have trouble carrying a gallon of water, say 20 yards from the car into the house, if that makes you really exhausted and out of breath, you'll probably start with a smaller size kettlebell. But what people don't realize is that if you are quite overweight, say 50 pounds or 100 or even 200 pounds overweight, you're usually a lot stronger than you think you are, because you have to be pretty strong just to carry all that extra weight around. So you might not start with the smallest size. Now, the sizes that I have here, these are all in kilograms because Russian kettlebells are Russian and they use kilos, not pounds, but I'll give you the rough conversions. The smallest one that we use here in the gym is a 4 kilo, which is 9 pounds. In the store, usually they'll have very small sizes and then they'll have a 10 pound. I honestly wouldn't start with anything less than 10 pounds unless you've been directed to do that by your doctor or a physical therapist. So maybe start with a 10 pound if you're super out of shape, if you're nervous, or if you've been told to start light. If you've been working out maybe a little bit, or maybe you have kids or a job where you're a little bit physically active, you'll probably want to start one size up. And usually that's the 15 pound mark. This one is 8 kilos, so that's actually 18 pounds. One thing you can do, this is the other test, go into the store and pick up the kettlebell that you think you might start with and lift it above your head a few times. Start from close in front of your chest, and just push it up over your head. If you can do this 10 times with the one that you've picked up, it's too light and you'll need to go up a size. So most women generally end up starting with a 10 pound and finding in about a week to 2 weeks that they really don't use it very much anymore at all, and usually have to go up to a 15 really quickly. So if you want to save a few dollars, you might just start with the 15. And if there are exercises that we do that you can't do all of the reps with the 15 that you've purchased, do as many as you can, and you will be amazed by how quickly your strength really improves, and you'll be using it for everything in no time. Now, I do often recommend that people get 2 kettlebells because there are a lot of exercises that you do with the kettlebell above your head, and then there's others that you use mostly just lower body strength. And the more weight that you use holding the kettlebell within reason, the faster that you'll burn calories, the faster you'll lose weight. So usually I say for women, if you're starting with 15 pounds to use above your head, you might use 25 or 30 pounds for the lower body. Now, the first time you pick that up in the store, especially if you haven't worked out in a long time, you might be kind of shocked by how heavy that is. It's okay, trust me. 2-3 weeks down the track, it's going to seem like nothing at all. So if you can lift it 10 times above your head, move to the next size up. The sizes I have here, like I said, these are in kilos. 4 kilos, 8, 12, 16, and 20. And roughly converted, that's 9 pounds, 18, 26, 35, and 44 pounds. So in the store, usually here in the US, they'll round it to, lots of 5. So you'll find a 10, a 15, a 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and a 45 pound. Now, for the guys, if you've been maybe a little bit physically active, maybe your job is active, or maybe you've been working out a little bit, you'll probably start with about 25 pounds. If you go into the store, lift it 10 times, and it's easy, you get to the 10th one, you're still pushing it up just like this, go one size up. But if you get to that 10th repetition and you're like, whoa, this is, like you're having to really use a little bit of effort to get it up there, don't let your testosterone get the best of you. Stay with the one that you can just barely get up there 10 times, because the thing about kettlebells is that you're doing really high repetitions with a lot of force, and the more force and acceleration you're using, the heavier the weight seems to the muscles and the joints. So you might lift it 10 times and just be able to barely do that. You'll find when you're doing maybe 50 or 60 reps of something that weight gets really heavy. Again though, within a few weeks, your strength will improve like faster than you can imagine, and you might find that is, maybe a really appropriate weight just a couple weeks down the road. So I guess what I'm getting at is go with your gut on that one. If you feel like, yeah, this is no problem, 2 weeks from now this will be a cinch, get that heavier one. And for guys also, I recommend to get two. If you can afford it, then that's a good investment for you. So you might start with a 12 kilo or roughly 25 pounds, and then maybe get a 45 as well, because you'll be using that for a lot of swings and, like I said, a lot of lower body deadlifts and squats and things like that. Also, a lot of the two-handed exercises, you'll find you'll use the heavy one much sooner. But you'll always have something to do with the lighter one. There are some exercises that just honestly never seem to get easy. You can use the light one for those. There are some where you can use two kettlebells, like the advanced windmills and things like that. So if you do have a small one and you're finding you're not using it as much, it'll probably come back into play at some point further down the track, or you can sell it and go and get a bigger kettlebell. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to find me on Facebook. I'll answer all your questions. Thanks a lot.